Hey, I'm Nick Filardi. I co-host with Jason Thielbar on the world's second finest podcast. Every week we talk about 90s Bat books, but we also talk comics, movies, books, TV, both new and old, that we love. What you're about to listen to is an unedited version of that conversation. This is the To Read Pile. Jason, what are you reading?
I'm reading a bit of Earth Extra, or Earth X.
Oh shit!
I thought I'd bring one of my favorite superhero books ever to the To Read.
Okay, let me ask you something right up top about Earth X. There's a little basket in my apartment complex near the gym where kids can grab books, or people can grab like little paperback novels or whatever, read them by the pool, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Somebody put Earth X in the basket, so I snagged it because I didn't have a copy.
Nice.
So I was like, can you believe somebody put this out there? And then I posted it to another Discord, and they were like, I can't imagine that somebody did that because Earth X is largely illegible. Like, it's just an incredibly difficult read. Do you feel like that?
A little bit. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is very heavy on the detail. So much so that I actually used to own all the issues. I was buying this when it came out. As I oft repeat on this show, I'm not, except for stuff like this, I never really for a long time into the superhero books, but I absolutely loved the art, and I thought the story was interesting. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a chance. When it comes out, each issue. Who's
the team on there?
Oh, the team. I'm going to read. All right. So Earth X, the story and the concept was by Alex Ross and Jim Kruger. Alex Ross did all the covers to the books. He did all the character design too, or a lot of it, at least a lot of the initial character design. I know that. Written by Jim Kruger, pencils by John Paul Leon, inks by Bill Reinhold, Todd Klein lettering, and then Matt Hollingsworth, Melissa Edwards, and James Sinclair on colors. And
whoa,
yeah. And this was back.
I had no idea that Jean Paul Leon didn't pencil and ink it. I know that he later in his career he was like pencil, inks, and colors. He was doing everything, all the art chores except for lettering.
I have to imagine because this was a monthly. It was a 12 issue.
They had to keep them on
series,
track.
But it was probably just easier when they were doing the build up to be like, hey, just pay attention to the pencils. But it's very dense. So each issue and it's collected this way ends with an appendix that a lot of times is just conversations between Uatu, the Watcher, and X-51, the Machine Man, who are your two sort of main characters / narrators, into what the world has become, and so I just want to describe. So Earth X, just to give a quick synopsis of it in case anybody's never read it, is I forgot how far into the future in the Marvel universe. And everyone has powers now. Everyone's a mutant, essentially. Everyone on Earth, except for Tony Stark, who has shut himself away in Stark Tower and has not come out for years, and is long hair, doesn't leave the Iron Man suit. Is whatever is out there is not going to infect me. Fuck you, people. Plot is that everybody in the future has powers. It's a dystopian future, and there's just a lot of people are dead. Most of the X-Men are actually dead. Charles Xavier is dead. And not just Charles Xavier, but pretty much all of the psychics.
Okay.
And anyone with any kind of mind power on planet Earth is dead. And they died the minute this kid awoken into his power. He was just such a powerful He just like
Such a
killed
powerful
everyone.
psychic that he just shut everybody else out.
Yeah. But I don't really want to get too much into the there's a lot of detail in it. Your friend was right. There's
Sure.
it's very it's
a
very
dense
heavy. It's
read.
very it's very dense, but it's so good. It's so inventive. It was so new. I think it was brought up. It was one of the last Marvel movies I've seen, was the second Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think they bring up in that how they meet the Celestial, and he's explaining, why he was on planet Earth. And it's because that's how we breed, is that we, you know, um we put our seed in a planet, and then we give the planet inhabitants these powers to protect it. And then once it's ready to be born, everybody dies because they're just microbes to us.
Yeah.
And
right.
And that's where this is where that came from, like directly from this. Like,
Okay.
spoiler alert, but like the book's 20 years old. So like, spoiler tags don't count. But yeah, that's like that. Like, I was like, that's such a great idea. It's like, oh, why does everyone on Earth like keep on having these powers? And it's like, oh no, it's engineered. You don't have free will.
Yeah.
And it explains too why Owatu, the Watcher code is supposed to be they never get involved, but they're like, you get involved in Earth shit all the fucking time, man.
Yeah.
Like, what about when
the
you
Watcher's all up in there?
Yeah, like what about when you gave Reed Richards the ultimate nullifier so he could stop Galactus? Oh, I did that because I actually work for the Celestials.
Yeah,
because in this book, Galactus's origin is that he was actually from a universe previous to this one that was utterly destroyed by the Celestials and their hunger. And so the reason Galactus eats planets is to keep their population in check so they don't just like devour the entire universe again.
Dude, some cosmic shit, some cosmic Marvel shit.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's my sweet spot right there. That crazy Jim Starlin, like bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. And I do absolutely love Earth X. I will one day own the black and white edition of it. The colors are beautiful. And I do recommend it to everybody too. I can't say I recommend the entire series. Universe X gets even more dense. And then there's Paradise X after that, which like I never read,
Okay.
But Earth X is just, I think it's just such a singular, creative, huge swing too. That is just,
especially for the time. When was it out?
Early 2000s, because the editor in chief on this is Joe Quesada. So it was just after Marvel Knights. So about 2002, so probably about early 2000s, 2001, 2002, thereabouts is when.
I feel like that was when comics were, if the 90s were all the growing pains of like, digital coloring and thinking about writing in a different way, like Bendis really changing the game. Like, we start to get little kernels of these big swings, and Earth X is definitely one of them, where they're like, can we make a comic book like this? We're gonna try,
Yeah. And I will say this, good job, Alex Ross, for like using your clout, because like I don't know how much of the story or concept he had initially, or how like involved he was in the actual stories and things of like coming out, but he was obviously really involved, and like very clearly that was like, the big band taking out the the smaller bands to get some exposure and to help them out too.
Sure.
Like it was just, it's one of my favorites. I think I probably will actually end up reading it again this week. I've read the book like an uncountable amount of times. So yeah, that's all I've been reading.
Cool. All right. Full disclosure. I was really trying to read stuff, and I don't know if this happens to you, but like there's a lot of times where I'm like, I want to read comics, but I'll sit down and the comics that I pick up will be like very wordy, and it's like I'm not in the right headspace for it. So I'm not like really clicking with it. And then I'm like, I don't know if I want to read this. And I'll try another one, and I won't click with that one. And I'll try another one, and it won't click with that. Like that happens to me sometimes. I think some of it is a little bit of undiagnosed ADD going on, like where I just like can't dial in and focus and read the heckin' book, you know?
Yeah.
But that was happening to me. I read, quote unquote, read a 3-issue 90s thing that I'm not gonna bring up the name, and I'm not gonna bring up like who worked on it because I don't want to be negative, but it was the most fucking 90s. In like 3 issues there was like maybe a handful of backgrounds, maybe, and they were very minimal. It was all characters all the time. Everyone was yelling at each other, and then the writer had to like explain what was happening because it was unreadable. There was like nothing in there. And then they're adding like centerfolds and pinups in the back. Like they're taking victory laps in this book. And I'm just like, holy moly. Anyway, let's talk about some good books. So I read that stuff. And then I read The Silver Coin. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
This is by Michael Walsh mainly, but it's a horror anthology. Michael Walsh drew and colored it, did like the art chores on this. He also he colored with the help of Tony Marie Griffin, but it's written by different writers. It makes it kind of like an anthology with like the same artist all the way through, but these short horror stories by different writers. And the different writers in the first trade are not only Michael Walsh, but Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Ed Brisson, Jeff Lemire, and then finally Michael Walsh does the last one.
Ooh, I know. I like a few of those names.
Yeah, writers. I have the second volume here that I haven't cracked yet, but I am looking forward to. On the second volume, Joshua Williamson's writing it, Ram V, Matthew Rosenberg, Vita Alela, and then Michael Walsh again. If you're into comics, you've probably recognized a couple of those names. We've talked about Michael Rosenberg before. He did a book he brought a couple of pods ago that is escaping my brain. 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Chip Zdarsky, Sex Criminals, Ram V does a lot of stuff. He's writing detective right now, I think.
Well, he was the artist on Sex Criminals, though. That was actually
he wasn't writing
it,
but yes. At any rate, it's a horror anthology that follows this cursed coin that like kind of gives people what they most want, but then twists it in a particular way. And you know me, I'm a sucker for horror anthologies in general, like collecting House of Secrets, House of Mystery. So this is like right up my alley.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Walsh also put out a one-shot Kickstarter thing called Sleep Stories, which is like all like his nightmares. It's all in black and white. It's really, really great.
Oh, wow.
I highly recommend that as well. I don't know if you can get that in shops or not because he Kickstarted it and then that was kind of it. But I know you can get the Silver Coin, and it's worth getting the Silver Coin.
I'm gonna have to get all of those on a list. I love that. Love that.
Yeah. Can I add an anecdote?
Yeah.
To the Silver Coin that's not really about the Silver Coin, but kind of meanders around.
Yeah, sure.
Jason, I'm going to warn you.
How dare you meander, Nick? I never meander. Ever.
I'm gonna warn you. I'm gonna come off as petty in this. It's gonna happen. I'm not gonna come off as lovable. Maybe still a little lovable. Let's just be honest. But okay. Right. So Michael Walsh in the colors does this thing called he uses a Photoshop preset called Dissolve a lot, which if you picture like a gradient of like black to white, you know, what Dissolve does is take that black and white, and if it's like a white canvas and you're dragging a gradient across it, instead of getting smooth colors all the way through, it just makes black, but like as like noise. And then it just decreases the noise as you go to white. So it's all black or it's all white, but it looks like gray from a distance because it's just noise. And he uses that a lot in the silver coin. And the only other time I've seen that is from one other person. And I'm working on a Deep Space Nine book right now. And I'm doing it in Deep Space Nine as a direct, like, calling out of this other colorist who's done it, who's worked on a couple of Deep Space Nine things. Because, Jason, let me tell you about what happened to me. I was at a convention, and I'm like next to my buddy Larry Watts. We go to a lot of conventions together. He was a local when I was in Gainesville, so we would, share trips, share hotel, like split everything, make it a little more cost effective. He and I were hanging out all the time at a lot of different shows for years. My friend lands there. He's behind Larry's table. Larry's looking at a portfolio, a color portfolio from someone, and he's doing the Dissolve stuff in there. And he's like, Larry goes, "Oh, you got a little Nickfil in here." And I'm like one table away, right? So I hear my name, right? I kind of perk up. The kid goes, he's a grown man, he's not a kid, but he goes, "Oh yeah, Nick Filardi. I don't know how that guy gets the gigs that he gets. He's like, he's not that good." And like, he's sitting there with my friends. I'm right there. And so when I booked the Deep Space Nine gig, I was like, you know what? I'm going to use Dissolve all over this thing, just like that fucking guy did. And as just a little nod. I don't know if he's ever going to read it or ever going to see it or ever going to hear this podcast or whatever. I'm not putting him on blast. I honestly wish the best for him. I honestly do. However, if we're going to start throwing stones, I'm gonna throw a boulder. And so I started using Dissolve as kind of like generating a little bit of noise in stuff. And when I read the silver coin right as I was starting DS9, and I was like, the way that Walsh was thinking about Dissolve as like noise was less about like color and texture and more about like light and creating like film noise kind of thing. And
yeah,
I was like,
that's the way I was picturing it in my head.
That's so fucking smart. And the way he was doing it was kind of adding just like a little bit of texture or grit to like floors or walls or whatever, which I didn't find super engaging as a colorist. But when I saw Michael Walsh use it as kind of like thinking about light more, I was like, yes, this I'm going to incorporate.
Yeah.
So I started folding some of those ideas into DS9 books, especially because DS9 is only available in SD. Like there's no HD remaster of it. So when I'm watching it, it looks like it's full of noise. So I was like, you know what? Perfect place for this.
Yeah. But like that. Yeah. Cause the way when you were explaining it, the way I was picturing it in my head was like how like certain, and especially knowing the genre, it helped me with this of the anthology, is just like how in certain horror movies, there's this like kind of like patina to it. Like even when they do remakes, they still try to keep like, because like there's like the great color palette that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre has, and in like the remake, which we saw actually when I was in Savannah. I don't know if you remember
sick.
that.
Remember that?
Yeah. Made you jumped out at the end too. You spilled your popcorn.
I knew it was going to fucking happen, Jason. I knew it was going to happen, and I was like, he's going to get me. And then I'm like, maybe it isn't going to happen. And right as I'm having that thought, he got me. Chuck the popcorn.
But even in that remake, like they still you could tell that the color values were at least like, trying to kind of ape what the 70s like had, because like
Right.
what the original film had, because like that became such a like it's such a signature, and it puts you into that world a lot better. It gives you that like that feeling, that this is like not good. It's like that
Right.
icky
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're like, there's it's like this, you start to, like you said, when it's like in the kind of like in the air, you're
Right.
like, oh, there's just
Exactly.
this stuff that's not and like it, so that like primes you to be creeped out, because you're already
Right.
on edge by
Right.
just this like aura that they've provided.
Yeah. Oh man. Silver Coin's really good. I'm gonna read the second trade. I'm gonna come back.
Yeah.
I don't want to
I got check that
because
out.
they're short stories, I would talk about what's in them, but because they're short stories, like I don't want to spoil anything. And there's no real way to like talk setup without talking about the payoff. Like
Yeah.
a rock star finds the coin and then uses it as a pick, and then suddenly and then things happen, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
but like
I mean,
the stuff that happens is what you want to see, and I don't want to spoil it for you, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah. I really like the concept though. It reminds me of when I was a kid, I loved watching reruns of Alfred Hitchcock Presents,
Yeah,
and like
very
that's
similar.
what like, yeah, a lot of that was where it wasn't really Hitchcock like writing it, but he had like sort of the idea, and I think he wrote some, but
Right.
people are just kind of, okay, I'm going to write in this sort of like Hitchcock
Yes.
style, and it seems like that too. It's like, oh, I have these ideas, and, it'd be cool to have other people come in and like, hey guys, here's like the
Right.
kind of thing that threads them all together, and like the tone, and hey, go nuts, and
Right, exactly. That's exactly
fun
what
to
it is.
see.
And he also like is weaving you get like a little bit of lore around the coin. There's some like thematic things through each story that happen, so they are more interconnected than you necessarily think. But like the actual story, like the characters never come back. The coin is the only thing that remains constant. But
Yeah.
there's also like stuff around the coin that like is thematic that happens. So you can tell he's like, not only is he creating an environment for like people to write whatever they want to write, but he's also like building the lore as they go too,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very good. If you like horror comics, pick up Silver Coin.
Oh yeah, I got to check that out.
Oh, and also if you like horror comics, the Blink trade is coming out soon. Did you read Blink? I colored that.
I did not. No,
See, Jason,
I will pick it up.
You told me a couple podcasts ago when we talked about Cry Havoc that I could bring my own shit, and now I've already plugged DS9, and now I'm plugging Blink. I'm all over this thing now, Jason, and
Yeah.
we only have you to blame. That's the thing, is I can't control myself.
I accept full responsibility, but I will say I'm going to continue to let you do that.
Okay.
Under no objection, but I will be responsible for it.
Blink is found footage VHS style horror about a woman who, as a baby, escapes out of a world that's entirely underground and is sealed off from the world. And half of the people go crazy, and the other half are trying to like keep it together. One of them thinks there's a god in there. It's all very VHS Betamax. I use a ton of VHS effects through the whole thing. Chris Sabella wrote it. Hayden Sherman did the art. It's absolutely killer. He does these wild panel layouts. I actually got to incorporate a scan of a VHS tape into the panel layout. Like it just fit coincidentally like really well. And I was like, oh, we'll just put a VHS tape here. So it's a wild story about this little girl who escaped. Her parents kind of pushed her out of like a little window that got immediately boarded up. And then she gets pulled back into it with a buddy of hers because she finds it on some message board because she's always been kind of looking for it to know her origin, and then has this opportunity to go back into Blink, and it escalates, and it's scary and crazy and super fun. If you like horror, pick up Silver Coin, pick up Blink.
Pick up Link. Oh, and pick up another. See, I'm in it too now, Nick, and pick up another book that Nick colored that I believe has a horror vibe to it, which is Devil's Highway, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Devil's Highway is about truckers who kill and move from town to town. Yeah, and there's a vast conspiracy underneath it. Yeah, man. I don't push enough of my books. I forgot about that one. Jason, I'm bad at this. We should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Jason, where can people find you?
People can find me at King of Black Acid on the Twitter. Also at World's Second Finest with a 2 on the Twitter machine as well. And that's about it. I should try to keep some posts up there. You know, try to keep my song parody streak going. I think I have something. But not sure.
Okay. You can find me at linktree.com/Nickfil. That'll give you links to everything, including my Discord, where I hang out regularly, talk comic books, talk video games. I got a Switch OLED this past week, and I've been playing a lot of games too. I think that contributed to my ADD a little bit.
A custom, well, not but a special edition Switch.
Yeah,
OLED,
I got the Zelda variant. I gots to, Jason. I gots to.
You freaking madman. You madman. I love you.
So excited for Tears of the Kingdom coming out. When Tears of the Kingdom comes out, I'm not bringing anything to the to read pile. I'm bringing Tears of the Kingdom to the to read pile. Just a heads up.
I'm down for it.
So yeah, you can hit up the Discord. Links for the YouTube are up there too. I have videos coming out every week on YouTube. Some video games, some comics, some this very podcast. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.